All right, guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. We're looking at the 2021 MAC Conference Championship game going down at Ford Field in Detroit, noon Eastern time on ESPN. Kent State and Northern Illinois will square off. 3-point favorites are the Golden Flashers. You got a 72.5 over-under, which is kind of low considering both of these teams combined for 99 points. The first meeting earlier in the year, there was one by the Golden Flashers. Looking at the Kent State offense. Dustin Crum's having a phenomenal year, 15 touchdowns, only 4 picks. He's only had 8 picks in his last 29 games over the last 3 years. He is very good at protecting the football. Averages about 233 yards per game, 500 rushing yards with another 11 touchdowns. They're 8th in total offense. They have phenomenal balance, though. They run for about 250 a game, a little under. Marquez Cooper, you also have Williams in there running the ball. These guys are phenomenal. Great balanced attack. Nakeem Johnson, the Syracuse transfer, is having a good year, over 500 yards. Keyshawn Abram, Dante Cephas, he has over 1,000 yards on the year. All these guys, though, they have 40-plus receptions. Some solid yardage totals. You're going to see all of them get involved. But overall, Xavier Williams, Marquez Cooper, they're really the standouts. And Dustin Crum even gets his legs going as well. Big reason why they have this phenomenal balance. And it starts with how they run the ball, even their offensive line. They're not very good. They've not been good this season, especially in pass protection. Not doing very good. They don't do a very good job in not allowing tackles for loss either. It's kind of inconsistent, really, because they run the ball so well, and this offense is manufacturing so many points and yards. But the offensive line, it's really not been as good as it can be, I guess you can say. But the Kent State offense all around, very good unit. I love what they have at all the positions, really, and the balance they have is very impressive. The offensive line for the NIU Huskies, on the other hand, they've been very good, especially in pass protection. But they're very young. Braden Payton's the only veterans, very young offensive line, as is the entire football team, really. 30 points per game for this unit. Rocky Lombardi, the Michigan State transfer, having a solid year, I guess. 13 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's only completing 58% of his balls. 210 yards per game. Freshman Trayvon Rudolph. You're going to hear a lot of freshmen on this roster who've really been stepping up this year. He's one of those young guys who's having a big-time season. 827 yards, 7 touchdowns as their go-to receiver. Kurt Ratkovich, he has 11 touchdowns. He does a lot of the finishing off for NIU. But it's these two freshmen running backs that have really been stepping up for them to do the heavy lifting. Ducker and Wei Lee, these guys, they're a big reason why this team runs for 231 yards per game. They have pretty good balance in their own right, I would say. It's not really comparable to NIU's. Rocky Lombardi, I'm not very impressed with. I wasn't when he was at MSU, having an okay year. He had 500-plus passing yards the last time they played Kent State. We're about to get to the defenses in a minute. Nothing impressive. But overall, both teams have really good balance. The offensive line for NIU, I think they have a big edge over Kent State's offensive line. But both teams, they run the ball extraordinarily well. And again, Jay Ducker and Harrison Whaley, these guys they've been really impressive. And then Rudolph as well. 3 freshmen will lead the way on offense, accompanied by 2 seniors, Ratkovich at running back, and then Lombardi. He's technically a senior. He's been around so long. So the veterans and the young guys, we got a nice blend going on this offense. I can definitely appreciate that. Looking at the two defenses, it's nothing really impressive. We're going to make this really quick. Kent State, they give up 34.5 points per game. They're 128th against the pass. I just mentioned Lombardi had 500-plus passing the last time these guys played. They're outside the top 100 run defense. They get into the backfield, I think, at a better rate than NIU does. C.J. West, A.J. Musalino, they're the top playmakers in that front 7. The secondary, I just mentioned, they're one of the worst against the pass, but they have 15 interceptions. They make plays. So, they get torched pretty bad, but they also have a knack for coming up with the ball when they need them to. Montre Miller, Alvin Hines, those guys have really been showcasing their ball skills this season. So the Kent State defense, there's not much to it. Same for NIU. They're slightly improved, but not much compared to last year. 115th in yards per game. One of the nation's worst run defenses. They give up 5.7 yards per carry. They struggle to get into the backfield tremendously. They rank towards the bottom in college football in tackles for loss and sacks. The penetration isn't ideal. Wandre DeVal at linebacker, he's probably their best playmaker. 64 tackles, 6 tackles for loss. 2 more freshmen that really stepped up. C.J. Brown and Jordan Hansen at safety. These guys have been phenomenal for them. Brown, he leads the team in tackles. Hansen, he's not too far behind. They got 9 fumbles on the year, but they only have 1 interception all year long. 12 games, they have 1 pick. The secondary would probably be, statistically, they're not bad. I think they're like top 80 in pass defense, but that's because they get dominated on the ground so much. But when teams look to air it out, they do it with no issues. Western Michigan just had a field day on them. And that's kind of been the story all year. When the higher volume opponents roll out with through the year, they're going to have success. So neither of these defenses are good, like really at all. Kent State, they have a solid little edge in getting to the trenches, and they make a lot more plays in the back end than NIU does. But that's really it for the most part. Final thoughts and the prediction on this game. Both these teams played earlier in the year. 52-47 was the score. 532 passing yards for an NIU passing attack. It's not all that great. I don't know. They're both teams. They have great balance. In the first matchup, though, Kent State, they had almost 700 yards of offense, only 24 minutes of possession time. I think they're going to look to control the ball a little bit more. It's just they score so fast, 9 yards per play in that game. I think they need to look to try to slow it down a little bit. I don't know if that's something they really want to look to do, though, because the tempo is a big part of why they're so successful on offense. Take the over in this game. There's no way these teams don't combine for 72 points. The defenses were not good in the first meeting. They haven't been good in any other meetings with anybody else either, so NIU, they're here because they have 9 games decided by single figures. They've only lost 2 of those games. That's how they have such a good record. Coming into the year, their over-under win-loss total was 3 or 4, and I was like, take the under for sure. They've surpassed that exponentially, but again, all these one-score games have been a big reason why they're here. It's not like they're a great football team, even though they have some solid balance on offense. It's led the way. I'm going to take Kent State. I think they're going to come up with at least 1 or 2 stops, 48-43. That's what I'm going to pick. I think NIU could definitely easily win this game, but Kent State has the better offense. So if they get into a track meet here, I'll take their unit 10 times out of 10. I'm also, good boys with Dustin Crum. So maybe a little biased, but seriously, if you look at all the defensive numbers, if you look at all the numbers, really, neither defense is good whatsoever. And the Kent State offense, the Gold Flashers, I'd say they're much better, even though both are pretty solid. So I'll take Kent to win the MAC title game. This should be a really fun game if you want to tune in on ESPN at noon Eastern Time.